Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be trying out some newly released makeup. So this time my new makeup is actually new makeup, and I'm really excited to try it out because this brand has launched a similar product, but it was the concealer. Now they have launched the matching foundation, so I'm really excited to try it out because I love that concealer. So the foundation I'm going to be trying is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Foundation. And I don't know too much about this because it is fairly new. I think it costs like $14 online. Right now, I think you can still only buy it at the actual Makeup Revolution website, but it will be coming soon to Ulta. It might be out already in Ulta, but when I bought it, it wasn't. It was just on the website. But I was super excited to try it out. I didn't want to wait for it to come out to Ulta and go get it in person, so I just ordered it, paid a little bit extra for the shipping, and yeah. So in case you guys are wondering, now this is cruelty-free and it is vegan, and it is a liquid foundation. It's supposed to be full coverage. I'm not sure if it is supposed to be matte or satin or natural finish or what. So I'm excited to try that out. Before I start applying this on my face, make sure you guys subscribe, a little stutter there. Make sure you guys subscribe. But without further ado, I'm gonna pull up my hair because it is a little warm in this room, and we're gonna start playing with some new foundation. Okay, so hair is up. Now, normally what I do when I'm trying out new foundations is I do half of my face with a sponge, half of it with a brush, usually a kabuki brush. But the thing is, my kabuki brush that I normally use is actually still in my makeup bag that is still with my cousin from the wedding. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link the video where I talk about my life update. It was a get ready with me, and I kind of explained everything. Long story short, my cousin was getting married. I was getting ready with the other bridesmaids, left my makeup there, haven't gotten it back yet. So okay, so I did find this kabuki style flat top brush that I have for my Dew Colors Fantasy Set brush set, but I've never used this before, so I don't know how great this is going to be for a first time wear test and first impressions for this foundation, but we're going to try it and go with it because that's the only option I have right now. And if all else fails, we'll stick to the sponge. And also, because it was only online, I wasn't exactly sure what the colors were going to be like, so I did estimate hopefully we have a good color match. We all know I have a history of not having the best color match, so we'll see. By the way, you actually do get 0.8 full fluid ounces, so slightly less than normal. Normally you get about 1 fluid ounce, so just slightly less than that. And again, I think it was $14, and I have the shade F6 right here. So you spin it off, and it has a large kind of doe foot applicator, large applicator like so, just like with their concealers. So I'm just going to go ahead and dab this on the right side of my face, blend it out with my sponge, and then I'll move on to the left side and try it with a brush. I think that'll be a pretty good color match. That's looking pretty good. So I did dampen my sponge, and I'm just going to kind of blend it out. Again, it did say it was full coverage, and it's looking more matte than anything else right off the bat. And actually might be a little light for me, so that's interesting because I thought it was still pretty darn pale. It's probably a good match. Might be just a hair light, but not too bad. Okay, so I did actually look it up in the meantime, and it was actually $12 that I paid for. Yep, and they have 24 shade ranges as well, so they do have a decent shade range. There are quite a few darker colors along with lighter colors. I know that's been a big deal in the beauty community lately. It's just brands not really expanding as much or not having as many shade ranges for those that are darker skin tone, have a darker skin tone than lighter skin tone. But I think this actually has a decent amount. So I'm gonna now go in and apply some to the left side of my face and apply with the kabuki brush and see how that works out instead. So as per like usual, when using the brush, you do get slightly less coverage than you do with the sponge, but as far as texture and like how it shows up, I don't see much of a difference. What I am going to do is I'm going to go back in because I want a little bit more coverage than what I have currently. I'm just going to kind of dab it around my nose and my cheeks where I want more coverage, because for me, it has decent coverage with just the base on it, but I want a little more. Because it is so warm, I am very flushed, so I kind of want to hide that. Plus, I want to see if it's buildable, because it's saying it's non-cakey, so I want to see if I build it up and if it can still say that. So I did zoom you guys in closer just so you can see. After blending that out, I did definitely get much better coverage on here. There's a lot of light in here, so I'm sorry that it's like super bright compared to normal, I guess. But again, I think it's a little light for me as far as the color, which again is interesting, but just add some bronzer and we'll be fine with that. But overall, I know this is like huge, I'm trying not to keep this in your face, but overall I think it does look, otherwise it doesn't look cakey, so I do think that's true. It does have kind of a velvety look. It does look really nice on my skin. It looks very soft. It looks really natural for a pretty darn full coverage foundation. I'm actually really impressed with this so far, just because I did kind of add that coverage around here. I did add extra and it is not cakey. It built up nicely. And normally when I add extra, especially around the edges of my nose there, it will get a little built up and cakey and crackle and look terrible, but not bad. So as I said earlier, I have tried their concealer before, but I'm actually all out of it. And that's how often I've used it. So normally I think it's $7 for the smaller one. I don't remember how much I paid for this larger one. Maybe this one was like $10, I want to say. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'll link all that information down below in the description box for you guys. But I actually went and not really splurged, because it's still a really inexpensive brand and all other stuff is really inexpensive, so it's not like you're splurging when you buy it. But I did go ahead and get the bigger size of it, because when I bought that original concealer, it was much smaller. This is, how much is in this one? This one is for a full 0.45 ounces. Not sure how much the other one is, but I think it was like 0.3 or something, so you do get quite a bit more in this one, because I just used it that stinking much. I loved it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that concealer. I also got a slightly darker shade because the other one was like white. And this is the shade C6. So I have F6 and C6, and those were matching shades. So when you go online, you can kind of choose the range and it tells you what the skin tone, like the tones and the descriptions are. And it has like a matching version of it in the concealer side. So foundation was F6, concealer is C6, and I'm going to use this underneath my eyes, and just to kind of see how well they match each other, because they are supposed to be the same kind of product line family. And I'm just going to put a little bit on. I don't want to do too much because don't need much highlighting, because that was a light foundation. And I'm just going to blend that out, see how everything blends out with this foundation. So what's interesting to me is after blending all that out, I haven't put any powder on yet or anything at this point. I'm going to do all that off camera and come back for my final first impression thoughts. But what's interesting is when I put on the concealer, that's when it started getting cakey around here when I blended it out, and also a little bit around my chin. So even though the foundation wasn't cakey by itself, and even though the concealer doesn't get cakey when I apply it with different foundations, when I put them together, I did get a little bit around here. So that's kind of interesting, and it's not bad. Like, it's not like, oh my god, it's like falling apart terrible, like I look like a cake face and just beat my face to hell. It doesn't look that bad, but it was just more so than I've seen with them, like with the foundation prior and with the concealer with other foundations when I've used it in the past. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to finish my face off camera, come back, give you guys, you know, what it looks like after, tell you guys how the powder's blended, how the bronzer, blush, all of that worked out for that. And then I'll be doing some check-ins shortly, doing kind of a wear test. It's a little bit later in the day. It's about 1 o'clock right now, so a little bit more in the afternoon, but I'll be doing check-ins a couple hours out just so you can see how it wears throughout the day. Basically. So let me go finish up my face and I will be right back. Okay guys, so the rest of my makeup is now on my face, and I will say it did blend, everything blended very nicely. It looks very smooth on my face, it looks very clean, it looks very kind of airbrushed. Once I put the powder on, I didn't leave it on too long, because if you leave it on too long, your face dries out and then it just looks even more cakey, and that just causes more problems. So I just kind of dabbed it in with my wet, damp beauty blender just to kind of keep in some of that moisture to keep it from doing that, and pretty much brushed it away quickly. And with that, I think that everything is looking really nice so far. I'm impressed. I'm not disappointed. Even around the nose right here, everything looks really soft, even around my smile lines. So we'll see if that's the case in a couple hours, because that's usually that is where you'll see some lines. I also have a vein like right here on my chin that I've been self-conscious about forever, and usually that's one of the first things that comes up once the makeup starts wearing. So we will see. Again, it's a little after 1 o'clock right now, so I will be checking it in a few hours to let you guys know how it wears throughout the day. But so far, just in the initial application, I really like the way it looks. Okay guys, so it is about 9:15 or so at night, so it's been just about 8 hours since I've had this on, a little bit more I think. And just so you guys know, as you can see, like, my makeup hasn't moved. We did a bunch of stuff this afternoon. We went apple picking outside and it was actually warm. I gave the dogs a bath. We spent some time outside with them and played around with them. I did some cleaning. So I wasn't just like sitting still, like not touching my face for fear of messing up this makeup for this video. I was just doing my normal everyday day-to-day things. I wasn't actually in a warmer situation than I normally am too, because on my day-to-day basis when I'm at work, I'm just sitting in an air conditioning office, so nothing crazy there. And honestly, like, it's broken up a little tiny bit around my nose, just a little bit, and just a touch around my smile lines here and here. It's kind of caked up the teensiest bit, and it's worn a touch away from my mouth, but you know, just eating in general can do that. But as far as like coverage on my forehead, on my face, on my cheeks, pretty much everywhere else, it's normal. Again, a little bit of breaking up around my nose and just normal wear around my mouth as I'm eating, wiping my mouth, all of that. Like, my veins kind of popping out again, and you can see a little bit of texture. But for the most part, I'm really impressed by this foundation, especially for how little that it cost. I'm really impressed by it. And again, it was pretty good full coverage. Like, it is pretty full coverage. And after kind of wearing it and putting the rest of the makeup on, just so you guys know, it didn't look as cakey where I had my concealer as it kind of did a little bit before. Once it kind of soaked into this, not soaked in the skin, but you know, kind of just melded a little bit better. But overall, I'm really impressed. I really like this foundation. I think it's a great alternative if you're looking for something that's less expensive. Again, I don't know if it's out in Ulta just yet, but you know, it's pretty easy to get your hands on, and I'm really happy with it. So those are my final thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope, you know, you saw value in it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But thank you guys for watching. Again, make sure you subscribe before you go. But that's all I have, and until I get any more videos out for you guys, as always, I hope you have a wonderful day.